In today's video, I'm going to be taking a look at the X-Arcade Arcade2TV-XR, or as it's also knowingly called, Tank Stick VR, and find out if this is the perfect arcade accessory to hook up to your TV to enjoy arcade games in the comfort of your home. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's me, Michael B, and in today's video we're taking a look at the X-Arcade Arcade2TV-XR, or as it's also called, the Tank Stick VR. I want to say a huge thank you to X-Arcade for sending me out this product for the purpose of this review. Anyways guys, let's take a look at this incredibly versatile arcade control panel and very solid steel base pedestal stand and find out if this is the perfect accessory to be paired with your big screen TV to have that arcade experience at home. So guys, here we have the X-Arcade Arcade2TV-XR. It comes in two separate boxes, one that doesn't have any branding, and then of course one that has the familiar X-Arcade branding. Now, in box 2, the smaller but heavier box, you're going to find, once you open it up, that this includes basically the pedestal stand or the base. You're going to get all your tape off and get this thing finally opened up. And when you do, you may be surprised to find so many metal parts. It's going to look a little overwhelming at first, but don't get too nervous about it because it's actually not that bad to put together. Now, when I say it's not that bad to put together, that doesn't mean there aren't some frustrating parts, as these giant 6-inch hex screws were a little hard to get in, and I did have some complications with losing some screws in the metal tubes, but other than that, it's actually a pretty easy build. Now, once you get into the second box, or box 1 with no branding, this is where you're going to find your actual X-Arcade unit. At the top of the package, you're going to find all your bits and baubles, very well packed. You're going to find your instruction manual, 2 giant USB cables, your power cord that connects to one of the USB cables. Then you're going to find this attachment, which we'll talk a little bit about later. So when you get the foam off, the first thing you're going to find is in fact an included sound bar. It's got the exact same look as the unit, so that's cool for people that are looking for better sound with their games, better than the TV anyways. And then we also have the X-Arcade control panel itself. I mean, this is the main event. This is what we all came here for. And it looks really good in person. The buttons feel good. It's an overall very impressive unit. So once you have the 2 parts connected, this is what your X-Arcade looks like. They call it the Tank Stick VR, and I can tell you this thing is built like a tank. In the home arcade space, this is probably the most durable and solid product that you're going to be able to find. The base itself is solid steel, so well crafted, so well put together. You have absolutely no concern about this thing tipping over or the control panel falling and hurting somebody. It's going to be super safe around kids. In the middle of the unit, you are going to find that powdered glass X-Arcade piece with the light bar attached. This thing is absolutely beautiful. The light shining down on the etched in X-Arcade logo is a very nice aesthetic piece. The control panel itself is actually really good looking as well, even though it's incredibly simplistic. Going with the white design with the different bevels going through it gives it a very nice look. Going with all the same button colors, that red, and the ball top covers being red as well, really gives it a very well put together vibe. And of course, it's got that light bar in the middle, the white trackball. Overall, this thing is pretty attractive. The control panel itself feels pretty good. There's good resistance on the joysticks. The buttons actually feel pretty good. Not amazing, but really good compared to other home arcade products. And of course, the trackball is pretty fantastic. It's got good movement up and down, left and right. No sticking, responds very well. I think you guys are going to be impressed. Under the control panel, you're going to find hidden compartments. One has bat tops to replace the ball tops on the joysticks. The other side has a height adjustment tool that you use to change the height of the machine. On the back, you're going to find two USB ports. One is for hooking it up to your PC or whatever console or brain you're using to run your arcade. The other one is for powering the lights in the unit. On the top center of your control panel, you're going to find a light bar where you press the X button, which will change the lighting configuration for your LED lights on the control panel, and also that awesome etched glass piece in the middle of your base. Now you're also going to notice a P1 turbo button. I've never used turbo in my life, so I don't know what the option is there. But right next to that, you're going to see a button that's P1 mode. Now this one is super important. You're going to want to hold it down for 3 seconds. That's actually how you're going to change how your PC or controller reads your unit. So you're going to download the X-Arcade2TV-XR system. And as you can see, I'm holding down the P1 mode. It'll change from the basic setting, which is keyboard and mouse, down to D input, and you're going to want to try to get it all the way down to X input because that's what works with Steam and most PC games. Once you have X input selected, you can start playing your Steam games and it will read it as an Xbox controller, so you're pretty much good to go right out of the box without having to map your buttons. Now, one of the other big selling points about this unit is you can actually adjust the height of the X-Arcade base and play whatever way you want to play. For those people that want to sit on a normal computer chair and play this thing more like a candy cab, you can do just that. But when you want to switch back to playing it like a stand-up arcade, you can easily press the lever on back and adjust it back up to your desired height. Now this also came with a soundbar, which is really easy to hook up, and it actually has a little included mic if you play online games. You're basically going to plug a USB into the back of your PC, and then you can press the buttons on the top to change the different sound modes, and you can also turn Bluetooth to USB connectivity on and off. Now let's take a look at some of the other things that were included. First up, you're going to find this dongle, which is necessary for hooking your USB into to play modern consoles. Unfortunately, it needs another dongle, so we won't be able to show that. You've also got a little dongle here for Bluetooth connectivity, and one of the other cool things they do is they include a bunch of other gate restrictor plates, so you can play depending on whatever game you want to play with whatever setup, you've got the plates to do so. Now, one of X-Arcade's big selling pieces is that the Arcade2TV-XR does work with VR. So if you have a MetaQuest 2 or a MetaQuest 3, you can play it with this. One of the funny things was I asked myself when I saw this first, what are these holes for? Turns out they do have a purpose. You're going to put your MetaQuest controllers in this resting while you're using your MetaQuest with the X-Arcade. Now, unfortunately, guys, I would love to show you how this works with VR. Unfortunately, there's supposed to be a code at the back of my guide. They did not provide it, so I'm going to have to come back and discuss this in a later video. So guys, let's get to the gameplay, and immediately I went into Steam and found some of my games that are in fact arcade games in compilations that I can play online with friends. Of course, I'm going to jump into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. First off, one of my favorite games of all time. Now I can play online with friends with my Megacade setup, and I can play other games like Marvel vs. Capcom 2, the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. Just recently came out on Steam. I can play that online with great netcode rollback. Now, of course, the cool thing is I don't have to just play classic arcade games through Steam. I can play some of those games that are modern games that would fit so well on an arcade console, kind of like G.I. Joe: The Wrath of Cobra. This just feels right with the X-Arcade. Not to mention modern fighting games that work so well with arcade controls like Street Fighter V Champion Edition. So much fun playing with Ryu there, and then switching over, I can even use this with my Xbox Game Pass, and I'm playing Killer Instinct with the X-Arcade. Now, I did want to play some classic arcade games, so I switched over to one of my various hard drives, filled up with games, jumped in, and tried to bring some up. Now, this is where I had a little bit of an issue because I had some problem getting the X input to work with this. I know a lot of people use a Batocera build and map the keys. Maybe that's something I'll come back to and do in a later video, but I'm excited that on this I can play games that don't work on current home arcade hardware, kind of like Golden Axe, The Revenge of Death Adder. Of course, we're also going to play some Mortal Kombat 4, see how that works. That's another game that's never come to home arcade and is perfect for using with my X-Arcade set up to my Megacade. And then, of course, I'm going to get into the more modern games. One of my favorite Dreamcast games of all time, Soul Calibur. It's so great to actually play the arcade version with arcade controls instead of a Dreamcast controller. And of course, there's Naomi beat-em-ups and fighting games that I've long wanted to play, add to my arcade rotation, one of which is Zombies Revenge, which is a very cool 3D beat-em-up shooter combination, kind of like Punisher, but with kind of a House of the Dead type aesthetic. I love playing this and finally be able to do so in the proper pedestal arcade setup. So anyways, guys, that's my look at the Tank Stick VR or Arcade2TV-XR from X-Arcade. I'm going to say I'm actually really impressed with this product. The build quality is absolutely incredible. That steel frame that it goes on the pedestal stand is unreal. Like, it was a pain in the ass to put together, but such high quality. I love the aesthetic of it, especially with the X-Arcade frosted glass piece with the LED lights going across, and I love how it's so easy to set up to the computer, play my Steam games, and even though there was a little bit of messing around, being able to go into MAME and play all the arcade games, plus some of the arcade games that are a little bit too powerful to run on a lot of our home arcade products, is definitely a big win for me. It's a bit of a bummer I didn't get to check out the VR section, but like I said, that's something I can come back and do in a future video. Anyways, guys, what I want you to do now, let me know in the comments down below, what do you think of the X-Arcade Tank Stick VR Arcade2TV-XR? Is this something you would possibly be interested in doing? Are you looking at building like a Megacade build like me? And could this be the attachment accessory you need to complete the project? Let me know down below. Once again, thank you so very much for watching. This is Michael B. the Game Genie. I'll talk to you next time.